Yeah, just wear the beanie. That's it.
That's pretty solid. I feel good about that. That's a good way to start this. Get the attitude up high, you know.
Good trade 2 J's if you could become Wolverine.
Where are you getting all this information?
I definitely heard some rumors about it. Are you still going? I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like you can hear them get.
The car, I was going to qualify and I was going to drive that out the racetrack.
Just threw the hood over the ditch and
longest employee of knots.
You did some digging there, huh?
Are you looking for awesome FD merch? Maybe even your own hat? I don't know. I know it's warm right now, but it's not always going to be. You can head over to shopfd.com, use podcast24 at checkout, save yourself 20%. Yes, you can save 20% on one of these bad boys. I'm not going to lie. It's not the best in hot weather, but it's actually not that bad. Wicks away some sweat, super high quality. Absolutely love the way that these turned out. So if you want to support me, head over to shopfd.com, use that podcast24, save 20%, grab yourself a hat. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and today we have the man that scares basically every rookie in Formula Drift, Mr. Andy Luck. How's it going, sir?
Great. I don't think I'm that intimidating. I don't know why yes, I kicked out some teams, and I kicked out some people from the events. It doesn't mean that I'm a scary guy.
I think it is just you have zero time for bullshit is what I've kind of like, you just have no time for it. Like no time for stupidity, no time for ridiculousness. You're just like, no, I have to do my job. I won't entertain your stupidity. We're all adults. We all know how to read. Just read. And that's honestly, that's what most of the time it comes down to is just people who don't read. And then you have to remind them of that.
It's also, I've heard every single excuse. The number one excuse is, for car show people is, my wife is pregnant. If your wife was pregnant, why are you here? Why are you displaying your car? Like, I've heard that so many times, and it's just like, I'm over it. And by that time, you don't want them to leave.
Is that for them to like park in a different spot? They say that?
No, they want of course, a lot of the car show people want the best spot. So they're parking their car so they can show it off, but they also get the nicest spot, and they can walk in and watch the event, and then they can bounce out as fast as they can. But usually we lock them in until the end of the event. So they have to come up with some excuse to get out. So the best one is, my wife is pregnant. She's a burst already. She's at the hospital. I need to leave. And I'm like, really? Like, you're locked in. There's 10,000 people around your car right now. There's no way you can leave. You're stuck here. Call Uber. Come back and get your car later, No, I can't. I can't leave my car here. It's one of a kind. It's one of 5 in the United States. And, every single excuse you can hear, and you're kind of over it.
That's funny. What's the big excuse then for the FD teams if they screw up or don't, get something wrong or get in shit?
I didn't read the rule book. That's the number one thing. I didn't read it. I'm sorry. I didn't read it. I didn't know it was a rule. Kevin Wells works so much hours on this rule book. There's 2 rule books. There's 3 actually, right? There's the sporting regulations, technical regulations, and then there's the judging criteria, or is it judging a book about the judging for this year. Sporting is all mine, really. It's really the rules of the paddock, the rules of everything, how to regain your license and stuff like that. And then there's the technical rules, which Kevin goes through everything about safety, tires, everything you can think of is in that rule book. And then most of the teams just rush. They rush. They don't take the time to spend and read over all the rule books and then go over all the little fine details. So when they mess up, it's going to cost them some money or time, loss of time. And usually we're pretty patient in the first couple of rounds, but toward the end of the year, I don't know why they keep on breaking rules. It's just that some are just ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think your reputation, when I first started with an FD, I was like warned about you before I ever showed up.
Who warned you?
And that was media. The team I was working with, that was a Sexsmith team. So like Dove was like, hey, there's this dude, his name's Andy. If he yells at you, you need to let me know exactly what he said to you and what you're in shit for. Cause like I need to be prepared. So even that was, 5-6 years ago.
Oh, it was longer than that, right? That was like Montreal.
2018, I think, is when it was my first year. Maybe 2017. I have to double check.
Yeah, but mostly it's because the team usually gets a letter from me. Hey, you violated this rule. Jacob broke this rule. So here's a $500 fine.
Yeah.
And then they're the ones that have to deal with it. And then they have to talk to you about, what happened. So what Riley was trying to do is just trying to find out what's going on and see how much trouble he's in before I send him the letter.
For the record, there was a media person before me on their team that actually did get into a bunch of shit. So I think they were just very aware of that and didn't want a repeat of it because it already, something else had already happened. And then they're like, okay, listen, one media guy already got canned and got us in shit, so don't make it two.
Well, usually media people, it's just because they're not safe. It's really about safety. The rule of thumb is that don't ever put your back to the cars coming, the direction of the cars coming at you. And most of the media people we had some foreigners, media team, actually got on the ground at Road Atlanta, was on the ground shooting, and something happened on the course. Fire safety ran him over because they didn't see him on the grass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was at Road Atlanta. So
Jesus.
The guy got ran over. The media guy got ran over because he wasn't watching his environment and he was on the ground. You never get on the ground. He laid down on the ground just to shoot. So when something happened, fire safeties, they're booking it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Ran him over.
That's crazy. That'd probably be down like at the bottom of the hill, I would guess. They were
it's
in
on the top of the hill. Or something.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. I think I know.
When we start putting the signs coming down the hill?
Yeah.
He was right before then. There's usually a fire truck up on top before. Now there's a SUV, not a four-wheeler with all the fire safety. And the guy actually was in front of that truck. So they never saw him because the truck is so high and they didn't look down. They just went for it, ran him over.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so hard to defend because it's like, bro, you're in front of an emergency vehicle that's just going to leave when it needs to. And you're laying down, you're in just a stupid area. So
most of this stuff is usually common sense. And then when I deal with the crowd, it's usually because of alcohol or whatever kind of drugs. Like New Jersey, that girl was clearly on some sort of drugs.
That was wild.
That was the first time that Formula Drift was on TMZ. So that was great.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, go to TMZ
I need to find
Sports.
that clip.
Go to TMZ Sports.
Okay.
You'll see the girl go crazy. She was just messing with everybody, hitting everybody. She hit the security guard and she was gone. So
that's funny.
There's all kinds of stuff like that.
I am very much waiting for the year-end edit of your personal GoPro because there is Kevin Wells GoPro, which is one thing, and then there's the Andy Luck GoPro, which that is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. So I record almost anytime I eject somebody out now. So they could show me how super they're acting, or if there's something like really funny or something that's going on. Like one piece of footage I got was when James and Jeff Jones went against each other in Seattle. Jeff had just come back. He was all excited. I got that all on video about how happy he was. And he goes, beep, 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 beep. I beat James Dean. And he was, I've never seen so much enthusiasm coming out of a driver. It makes you feel like, oh, wow, that was so awesome. And then there was a guy that somehow snuck on to the track at Irwindale.
I heard about this.
A foreigner from China pretended to be a media member and somehow with a media vest, fake media vest, walked all his way into the media through all security, through the police. And I dealt with him with the PD and I got that all on footage.
That's crazy. It almost just takes some balls. Maybe, I don't know, like, can you chalk it up to just like misunderstanding of what's going on? Like,
no, he knew.
They've got vests, I got vests. He just went for it.
Yeah, the reason why he got caught is on the back of his vest, it says maintenance. But he wore a backpack to cover it. So I guess
interesting.
So he had the backpack on the whole time. And so he took it off to get something out. And another media person saw it, told one of our track workers. Track workers calls me, say, hey, we got this problem. There looks like there's a guy that doesn't belong here. We need to get him out. And I made my merry way there. And before I started anything, I started the GoPro And I started recording, and then it was like beep 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 beep, and then I was like, time for you to go.
Yeah.
So I escorted him straight to the police, and the police handled it, and I recorded all that where the police took him to the police station.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like in these times, you kind of need to. Like, you need to. You're representing the sport. You need to cover your own ass at the end of the day. And I've been near you during these interactions, and you're firm, but you're still semi-polite. You're just very like, no, you're leaving now. Like, bye. Like, you're leaving. That's what's going on. At no point are you like screaming expletives or swearing at them or anything else. I mean, if a driver's being stupid, you have no issue calling them stupid. But for the most part, it's just like, no, like, you need to leave now. You have to go. That's what's happening here.
It actually is how they respond to me when I'm talking to them first. If they're usually pretty cool and they know they did bad, that's it. Simple. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, beep you, then you're getting the cops escorting you out.
Yeah.
It depends on how they react. And it's with drivers too. Like, a lot of drivers, I understand, I've been in several fights, not breaking up a couple of fights, between drivers, upset, really, they're passionate of what they're doing and stuff like that. They hit each other, and that I understand. They're all in the moment of things, and it's just to diffuse everything. So let them go. And if they want to get mad at me, then I will react accordingly, which I've had a couple of people react negatively, and that's why they were escorted out of the venue. So
there's a moment that I believe was accidentally caught on live stream. I believe it was the last year in Texas, where a media person, I believe, may have had an alcoholic beverage on track, and we have the resting camera that's just rolling. No and it's you walking out to the media pit, and you can see you doing this, and then like the thumb out and everything. I don't know if you remember this
I don't
scenario,
remember that.
But yeah. I only know about the reason why the media person was kicked out is like third-party knowledge, but I do remember going back and seeing the clip, and it was one of those, like, we used to leave a camera rolling in between sections because we didn't break it up, right? It wasn't like, yeah, we'd have a crowd cam rolling, and in that crowd cam in the back is you like throwing the book at somebody.
I mean, a lot of my issues I deal with again with media people is common sense. Yeah, like, why are you drinking? Yeah, like, you're supposed to be working? Why are you drinking? Yeah, and that I understand that they're having a good time and stuff like that, but you should not be drinking when your life could be in danger, especially Texas. Yeah, it's so fast, and like some of the spots are not. I wouldn't say they're like crazy sketchy, but they had some of the more dangerous media areas in the series. Yes, because I remember one car actually hit the rocks, then slid against the rocks, then hit a light tower, then the light tower fell over onto the media pocket. Jeez. Yeah, I think it was Alec Honadale. Okay. I think it was him. But things like that happen, and if you're not aware of your surroundings, you're going to get hurt. And that's why we harp on a lot of safety stuff all the time, but sometimes people never listen and they don't understand crazy stuff has happened. Yeah. It unfortunately takes an incident for some people to realize that, like, this is why every rule's got a story, right? Like, there's a reason why that rule book has those things in it. And unfortunately, a lot of the times it's because that thing has happened. So now we can't do this. Well, like Hans devices. I remember one of the drivers hit at Irwindale, and no, it was Taka. Taka hit the K-rail in Sonoma, and we have footage of his neck snapping back like that. Oof. And it was one of the last time that we were at Sonoma. And I think after that, we started looking into the Hans devices. And then the previous ones, I remember, you couldn't really turn. And that was Kevin's problem about trying to get the Hans devices to be able to turn. And now, a lot of them have adapted to where they're safe, but they're able to turn a little bit to be able to see what's going on. Because in drifting, you actually have to turn a little bit.
Yeah,
You know?
you got to be able to look at the side. Was that the Sonoma where you may or may not have positioned yourself in front of a vehicle to keep the event going?
So Sonoma has a rule: don't disturb the grapes.
Okay.
So year 1 or year 2 of Sonoma, we had to be off the track at 5:00.
Okay.
Somehow there were stupid judges. One more time, BS. Always one more time. And the head of the track was like, Andy, we're shutting it down. We are going to send the fire safety truck to go in front of the car so they can't run, so we can call it. So I was like, hell no, you're not. So I stepped in front of the truck and I told the starter, let's go. I'm standing in front of the truck. And I think we were 5 minutes or 10 minutes late after the time thing.
Yeah.
I think we got a fine, actually. I think we had to pay a fine, but I couldn't remember. It's been a while, but I stood in front of the fire safety truck so they could not. So Reese Millen, I think, won that event. Or Calvin Wan. It could have been Calvin Wan that year. I couldn't remember which year it was.
Okay.
But yes,
I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, you put it all on the line for the sport, man. It's pretty crazy.
One of my first positions at Formula Drift, since I've been here since day one, was I actually was the starter for year 1 for a while.
You were the first Matt Sopa.
Yes. And
Okay.
I remember Taka and Samuel Hubinet went 3 more times. And Taka's car was sitting there just overheating and stuff like that. And then the Dodge guys were like, come on, let's go. Let's hurry up. I'm like, no, I'm going to give him some time to cool down his car so we can go. He goes, well, that's not in the rule book. We want to win. I was like, well, he wants to win too, so give him a chance. And they go, let's fight. And then you just see Andy Yen just starts running out in his suit and helmet. Let's fight. Come on, let's go. So, and then all the other older drivers banded together and were like, give Taka 2 minutes, let it cool down so he can run. Samuel ended up winning, of course, but they wanted to win it not sportsmanlike.
Do you think it was more aggressive, more spicy back then than it is now? Like, we talk about the Chelsea Denofa, outburst, if you will. But like looking back and hearing stories, it seemed like that type of thing was pretty, I wouldn't say, maybe not common, but it happened significantly more often back in the day, if you will. Like, let's say the first 5, maybe 10 years.
I didn't think that we put our foot on the rule book and, to really enforce it with conduct as much back in the day, because there were only 30 drivers at most at each event. It's not like 50 something now or 60 something now or whatever, 70 something now. So, and then we were trying to cater to the drivers a lot more than we do now, as in like bending the rules or conduct. But the worst I've ever seen between 2 drivers that really, I think, hated each other was Justin Pollock and Von Gittin Jr.
Yeah, the fender kick, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was one moment in a series of a lot of back and forth.
Well, Tyler McQuarrie, I think, T-boned somebody too. I forgot. Was it Conrad? That one year in Seattle? He got mad and just T-boned him.
Right.
I think that was Conrad. Conrad and Tyler McQuarrie.
You've had to talk a lot of drivers and drivers out of a lot of crazy situations. I don't know the entire story, but I was asked to bring up Tony Angelo in Mexico. That it was another scenario that Andy had to come to the rescue and save somebody.
So I get a phone call. I'm in bed. Hey, we're in trouble. We locked down the whole hotel. Somebody rang up a $1,000 alcohol bill on your tab pretending to be you. This is one Tony Angelo. I'll tell you another story later, which I think Tony actually talked about in another podcast. We'll go into that one. It's about year 1 in Houston. You'll love that one. Mm-hmm. So they had a armed guard at every single entrance of the hotel. would not let anybody leave because they want to get paid for their bar tab. It was $1,000. Somebody actually scribbled my name on there, put my hotel room number. Of course, I was asleep. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, pull everybody out. Everybody who signed for it. Right now, we're in some really deep shit. Oh, deep trouble.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Somebody's going to get arrested tonight if somebody doesn't fess up. So Tony and like 3 other people fessed up. They had to pay for the bill. And that was one. And then I think Tony got involved with the fight, but I actually supported him on that one. I think Tony was defending a girl getting really beat up.
Oh, okay.
So he beat the hell out of that guy. I think we had to pay $200 to get him out that night. But he was defending that girl. That guy was wailing on her. So he went out and just beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, Tony's, I mean, if you've just seen him on TV and things like that, you think he's this sweetheart, which he is a sweetheart.
No, he's 100%.
But he's
awesome.
a savage. Yeah.
Yes.
Like he's hardcore East Coast. Like, you know.
Don't play the punching game with him. The punching in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So that guy is one of the hardest punchers I've ever had. I had a welt on my arm for like 6 weeks because he punched me that hard. You know? And he's actually one of those. I went to FD Asia with him a lot over the years. He's one of the smartest guys ever. I mean, he was reading philosophy books and stuff like that. And I was like, what the hell? You're Tony Angelo. You're just a brawler, you know? But he's probably one of the most well-educated people I've met. And I think that he's great.
I had a podcast with him years ago on my old show, and he's actually somebody I've been trying to get on all year, but his schedule is a little tough. I have a list like this. Probably of all the drivers, I might have the most stuff because just throughout the events, just speaking with different people in FD, inevitably they'll tell me a Tony Angelo story. And almost every time it's one I haven't heard yet. And
Have you heard about the Milwaukee story yet?
It's on the list here. The Milwaukee bar fight, the Milwaukee Mile. Yeah.
So we had a demo at Milwaukee Mile with Champ Car. And of course, DA drivers, Tony Angelo, Chris Forsberg, Vaughn, Ben Schwartz was with us.
Okay.
I can't think of who else. Anyways, those DA guys went on a rampage. So they're dancing at the same club as us. Ben Schwartz starts dancing with some girl that was dancing on him, gets punched in the face, full on brawl. Jim Lau, myself, full on brawl. And at the end, we're all handcuffed to a bench. And I was like, this is the worst feeling ever. And a lot of the stories, DA was probably the most fun to follow, but they were the most chaotic. Forsberg pretended to be Spider-Man one year. And I saw him jump from window to window, balcony to balcony at a hotel.
I honestly, I wish I would have been around for those days, but I also know that I would have gotten myself into a lot of shit.
But think about this. There were no cell phone cameras. There were no cameras. There was nothing like that. So all this stuff, I don't even have photos of me, Ryan, and Jim, and Brian, and Jared, all of us together, original crew. There were no such photos. Mm-hmm. You know? So I don't have a lot of the older photos of all of us when we were younger, but it would have been cool to see some of that.
There's some archival stuff that I've seen and had sent to me, but yeah, it's pretty rare. I think you actually showed me a photo of, it might not have been the first event, but it was one of the first events. It was after you signed on. But yeah, I think it was you who showed it to me. I want to say this year in Long Beach. It was just a really, really early on shot of everybody. And you asked me to try and pick you out of the crowd and I couldn't do it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's not many photos out there of the original crew. Mm-hmm. Because I think Brian Olfert was first before me. But Ryan, it was Jim, Ryan, myself, Brian Olfert are the original crew. That's still around. Other than that, I mean, Jared, Kevin Wells, but Jared was the announcer. Kevin Wells was with Falcon at the time.
Right.
Cassidy wasn't with us at the time. Freddie wasn't with us. Joyce wasn't with us. So these
Tio
are all.
wasn't even born yet. Yeah.
Tio wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
You know, funny story is that Reese Milling came to our Irwindale event last year. So I went to some kid. I go, hey, do you know who this guy is? This old guy? They're like, I don't know who that guy is. He must, like, who is he? I go, he was a 2006 champion. His card's right there. He goes, oh, wow. Mom wasn't even born yet. I was like, oh.
Jeez.
That shows you how crazy, how far the sport has been,
Yeah.
So
it's, it's come a long way. There's a lot of the roots still with it. I mean, we still have a lot of ridiculousness that goes on, not to the same level. Once you said, like, because of cell phone cameras.
Well, also a lot of us have families. I mean,
right.
A lot of us have grown up over the years. Vaughn is a wonderful businessman now. Chris too, Tony is doing his own thing. And then the younger guys, I still feel like Matt Field is almost like a younger guy because I remember when he first showed up, or when Ryan Turk, which, it was funny. I have this Ryan Turk story. Like our first Chicago event, there was some security told me there was some kid sleeping in the parking lot. It was a 240, S13. And then early in the morning, we went over there and knocked on the door. He had all the wrappers of McDonald's and everything outside the door and stuff like that. I go, hey, are you here early for the event? He goes, no, I'm actually running in it. My name is Ryan Turk. I'm like, oh, wow. That shows you how crazy a lot of these guys, so they started somewhere. I remember Vaughn, year one, open trailer with his S13 going to the events, It just shows you how far everybody's progressed over the years.
Yeah, I still think we get the scrappiness from people, which is always cool. And I always like seeing it because it reminds us of the roots of the sport, right? Like, a Jonathan Hurst is like a good one to point out, like a driver just making it happen. Alec Robbins is another good example of that. Just like Scrappy trying to make it happen, just trying to keep the program going. And then
they're both like Matt Field. They're both like Matt Field.
Yeah.
Matt Field is very scrappy, and look where he is now. I think he is one of the top drivers in our series. He promotes really hard. He does all his social media. And if I was a guy, I would strive to be like Matt Field or like Odie.
Yeah.
Like look at Odie, same thing. A lot of these guys came from open trailers, came to the events, they busted their ass, and look where they are now. And I think, again, like the perception is that, everybody expects Formula Drift to give them stuff, give them big prize money, give them all the social media, but all the tools are there for you to make money. It's just whether you use it or not. And that's the problem with a lot of these people and why they fade so well is because they didn't spend the time to work on their own projects or their own programs and stuff like that. And the one thing that I get upset with is when I hear that they're asking for so much money, but they can't tell the people that are asking for all this money how to give them their return on investment.
Yeah.
And that's the frustration. I hear them always complaining, oh, can you help Formula D? Can you help me get this? Or can you get me this? Or can you get me this? Well, we do give you guys the rights for all the video footage and all that stuff. You guys can cut all the videos you want. We bring the people to the stands for you. I don't know how much more other than paying everybody a salary.
Mm-hmm. It's such a unique thing in motorsport, what FD does. And I don't think a lot of the fans truly understand that. Like if you go back, let's say 15 years to F1 in the Bernie Eccleston days, drivers couldn't do anything. You couldn't post, you couldn't even have social media, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't even change your helmet more than a certain amount of times over the period of a year because they didn't want sponsors going through. F1 took a chunk of sponsorship, all that stuff. It was crazy. FD, the complete opposite model of that. And there's still sports where, as you said, that have salary models. I believe motocross is one of them. NASCAR's got its own whole crazy thing going on. I don't even want to touch on that model because that's not great, in my opinion. Others might say it is, but I don't think it is. FD is like, no, we're going to give you all the infrastructure. We're going to give you all the rights. You can do whatever you want with whatever you produce. We're not going to censor it. We're not going to ask for preview of it. You do whatever you want to do. Heck, like you get all the clips. We are giving you all of your clips when you're running. Because it used to be drivers would just have to go to the live stream, pull the footage off, cut their own clips. Now, by the time that session is done, those clips are already in the drive.
Yeah, and it's
like,
crazy. Ryan does a great job. He puts it in our Discord. Hey guys, here are all the cuts for today. Here's all the drone footage. Here you go. Have at it. But some people don't take that and make something out of it, which blows my mind. Like, everything's already done for you. Just slap on your logo and post it. How hard is that? Can't.
Yeah.
But yet they're willing to ask for $400,000.
Yeah.
And that's
I think I always think there's a disconnect in the education side of it, and that comes from my marketing brain and being on the other side of sponsorship proposals. Like, are we just not teaching people?
Well,
is the information
not
there?
Because we did all these seminars with people in the industry, and the drivers didn't like it. They thought, "Oh, I could do better in that. I could do better anyways." So I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't know what else Formula Drift can do for people other than giving what we give them now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, there are drivers that have done phenomenal things with it. I think Von Gittin Jr.'s media program it's second to none. And I know a lot of those guys personally, so it's easy for me to kind of talk about that. But like, it's such a small thing. Like, they have a GoPro that's always mounted in the foot cam, like as in the footwell. Everybody loves to see the foot shots. And they just swap out sponsor logos. That's it. Watch any of those videos and they just, okay, cool. This day, the foot cam is brought to you by this sponsor. Put on the sticker all day. That's the footage. Very simple.
They're doing it every day. Some of these people don't even post once a month.
Right.
And that's where I get frustrated when I hear them begging, "Hey, Formula Drift, can you help me get a new sponsor? Can you get me this? Can you get me this?" Well, I don't know what else to do for you. I feel bad because I do feel a lot of drivers do have a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know or they don't have the resources or the people around them to help them out.
Well, and then there's drivers who are not performing well on track, but have some of the biggest budgets in the sport. Like, I won't name names, but it's pretty easy to kind of take a look at it. They're drivers that have very, very nice rigs, incredible looking cars, and they struggle making it a top 32. So, results help for sure. Like, James Dean being the GOAT, that helps get sponsors 100%. But there are drivers who maybe make it to top 16 once or twice in a season that have a similar budget.
But there are drivers out there that are asking for so much money, but they don't even take the time to go out to meet the fans or talk to them.
Yeah.
You go to their pit, they're not even there.
Yeah.
Their pit doesn't even look right. You even know that that's their team. You know? And
it's a balance.
It's a balance, and they have to take the time other than driving to build a fan base. Like, I hate to say it, like, and I just hope that these people learn. If not, they're in the wrong sport.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many drivers come and go throughout the years that I thought that would be, would do wonderful, but they couldn't get it together.
Is there any in particular that you're like, hey, this could have been the next great driver, but for whatever reason, it fell apart?
I thought that happen. Justin Pollock should have won the championship, but he couldn't get it together.
Okay.
One person that I wish would win, so I can stop harping on him, is Ken Gucci.
Agreed.
Ken Gucci is probably one of the best drivers ever to be in drifting, but he had a couple of bad rolls, a bad accidents, or something happened, or his program changed. And then you have Ryan Turk. Ryan Turk was so close that one year, but he didn't qualify New Jersey, his home track at Wall, so it cost him the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Odie is another one that I would love to see as a champion,
Yeah, he's so close.
He's so close. Every year is so close. Yeah. And you know how it is. It's all about consistency. Like James Dean was consistent. So that's why he won the championship. Odie was up and down. One event he will win, the other one he'll make top 16, and that's it. And you know, I really like the Forsberg way. Win third place every single round, you'll be champion.
Yeah. It is. It's a sport so driven on consistency. The Odie one's a great example. I believe it's 2021 or 2022, where like 3 rounds in, he was crushing everybody. And then the second half of the season, just, it all fell apart. And it's like, that's how it goes. But the nicest guy, he was probably by far one of the nicest guys. You know, like Matt Field's also really close. I don't know what happened to him this year, but he's been close for the past, 5 years? Mm-hmm. So he's a future champion too. I feel like some of these guys, I think that, you know, they're only 1 or 2 events away from winning it all. Is there a driver of the past that you feel like maybe needs, like, you wish you could transport them to this time, either due to like personality or skill or something where you're like, hey, if this driver is driving right now, things would be very different?
Reese Millen.
Yeah.
Reese Millen's by far has always been my favorite driver. He was professional. He was funny. He's really sarcastic. And I love that about him. Like when he won his last event ever, he got out of that Hyundai of his. It was like, this fucking old man still fucking got it. And I just lost it right then and there. Because at that time, he was 45, maybe 46, 47. Mm-hmm. And he was so happy that he won because the kids were killing him. And I think that if younger Reese was to race now or drift now, it would be awesome.
Yeah, like prime Reese, right? People talk about it with like boxing, right? Or any sport Reese. Where they go, this driver in their prime would have beaten everybody. Like,
I wonder how Tanner Faust would do.
That's a big one for me. Yeah. I would love to see. I think it would take him a season to get acclimatized to where we're at now, but I think that's all it would take. And then he would be, he would be a problem child at that point.
Samuel Hubinet, I don't think he's a great driver, but his was more car than him at that time. Sean Carlson built him a wonderful car.
Yeah.
Would he be competitive? Yes. Would he be on the podium all the time? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Matt Field and all these guys would just take him out. I'm trying to think of any other driver that I would be like, I like to see Daigo back in the series.
We came close. I mean, before COVID, it was, I believe, all but confirmed that he was coming back. So
yeah, Daigo would be interesting. A prime Daigo with Achilles tires against James now would be very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be spicy. That'd be very spicy.
I'm trying to think of any other drivers that I would be like, no, like I really, like I said, drivers come and go. It's just whoever's going to be my problem child of the year, you know?
Do you pick early where you're like, oh, this is the one that I'm going to kind of pick on and stay on for the whole year?
Every once in a while, like I really like talking trash. And I think Jonathan Hurst and I have bonded over it. And I think that he has the right mentality. Again, for him, it's all about consistency, which he doesn't have yet. But I think he'll be a big star soon.
Yeah, we've seen shades of it, right? We've seen the personality come out, and I really do think we're starting to see more and more personalities emerge. I would say, man,
who's your favorite up and coming driver that's not named Manoa?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say because like Connor Shanahan's an easy pick, but it's so hard to like say that he's up and coming, right?
Up and coming.
Andy Haitley, really. I think he's got media. He's got a really, really good personality. He's just kind of missing getting the car together is what it seems like to me. He's got more experience than so many drivers. Like, he's not the youngest guy in the world anymore, but
no,
he's still getting better. Like, it's not like he's aging and then slowly fading. Like, he's still getting better. So I think he's good. I think Derek Madison's got a personality that I really like. He's funny. He's ridiculous. If he can get the funding so he's not having to struggle and like rebuild a car halfway through the season, it's one of those, like, if you were to give everybody infinite budget, where would everybody be? That's what I think is really interesting. That, right? Like, who then would actually really perform? Because I look at a Hurst and just the amount of damage that he puts his cars through because he drives them so hard. And, you know, admittedly, it's a driver I've worked with previously, so I have a very good insight into that program. The dude's scrappy. I've seen that guy like weld things back together that probably shouldn't have been welded back together just to get out on track. And then you lose a battle because the alignment's so crazy because you didn't have the time or money. But given infinite money, infinite resources, head to head against anybody on track, I think Hurst could beat almost anybody. And it's like, you know, an Alec Robbins is another example of that. That's a driver that when he's on fire, when he's angry, when he's like in the zone, just decimates people.
What do you think about Taylor Holden?
That's another good one. I mean, I really do. I think Hall's got it. I would like to see Hall drive more outside of FD, but in an FD level car. We're at the point now where your practice has to be in an FD level car. Like that's where the sport's at. You can't be. I don't think you can be doing practice in a non-FD car and be getting ahead anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, I probably agree with you on every single point. I do think that a future champion of Formula Drift is going to be Jeff Jones.
Yeah,
I think
big personality. Yeah,
biggest heart.
Yeah, cares. He really cares about the sport.
Something happened to him this year. I think I don't know what happened. He might have got hit by a driver or something happened to him to where he's getting it now. So think about it. If he had beat James twice and the beginning of the year he did really well, where would he be? He'd be top 3, right?
Yeah, at least top 5, yeah.
So
we've seen it with so many drivers though, where you get to a point where there's an incident or an accident where you either gain or lose that fear. Ryan Turk's massive hit in Long Beach and then the way he drove the rest of the season is a great example. Von Gitten's big hit in Texas and the way he drove after that. But there are drivers who have those big hits and then they fade out where
here's one
scared.
that actually did really well was Dai Yoshihara. He tore that
Great
IS
example.
300 in half.
Yeah.
Right?
But
And then he
drove like an animal.
Yeah, then he drove an S13 and he won the champion the following year.
You almost need to have, and I don't wish an accident on anybody, but you almost need to have a situation where you realize, oh, that's the worst it's going to be. So now I can move on. And I really think that's the case. And some drivers have it really early on in their career and they drive with a level of confidence after that. Where they go, I've had the worst. I've been through as hard of a hit as I'm going to. Now I'm going to put it on the wall every time. Some drivers, though, have that hit and it spooks them and that's it. And they can never get over it. And unfortunately, we see them leave.
I wish I could pull an example, but I cannot think of a hard hit where they faded. I'm thinking right now. I don't really.
Well, I mean, Mike Power, great example. That's a financial thing, right?
Yeah.
Crashes really hard in Long Beach. I'm sure it was a massive financial hit, but also there's a level of will that also kind of disappeared with that because if he wasn't spooked by it, he would have figured something out. Well, and I don't know his example. Yeah.
Look at O'Sully, crashed in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And he ends up winning it all, right?
Figures it out. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, second in pro spec, but I know what you're saying. Like massive hit, but yeah, gets his shit together, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody that was big name that crashed that could not get over it.
I don't think they don't usually leave like then at that moment. It's like a year or two later where their performance drops, their love for the sport wanes, and that fear kind of takes over. Trying to think, I can go back to.
I can't think. So many years. I mean, I have more years than you. I can't. I'm trying to all blur together.
Mike Power is an example recently, and that's tough for me to say because Mike's a close friend, and
Good guy.
he's a great guy, but like. I think that hit in Long Beach did something to him. And, if there's a little bit of the will to go on, that's gone because There are drivers that have less money.
I can remember a guy. So one guy rented a car from China. He got his license. He rented Forrest Wang's car.
Oh, right.
First round out.
Yeah.
Watched the whole car. Never heard from him again.
Yeah. I do think we see it in pro spec more than we see it in pro. I mean, it's a financial difference too. But yeah, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So who in pro spec do you think is a future pro driver now?
I mean, Connor and Tommy they're moving up. So those ones are off the table. Yeah. Troy Manners is coming back. And that's just another driver that like took a bit of time off, but didn't, like was driving in other series, like, you know,
so I should put him on my list.
Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. on your shit list. That's one that comes top of mind. I know Colette Davis got hers. She's got great backing. She's sponsorship stuff. Like that's
easy.
That's the whole package, right? Like as long as she can drive and keep up with everybody, everything else is there. So that's an easy one to point to. Amanda Sorensen's another easy one to point to with that. I think if she committed herself to just drifting, she'd already be in pro and probably top 10. But when you do everything else, it's very difficult because this sport, you can learn a lot from other sports. I won't take anything away from that. But if this isn't the only thing, it's really hard to be a, top 10 driver.
I agree with you. But yeah. I think, let me see who else is really good. How about Nate Chen? What do you think about Nate Chen?
I like Nate. I don't have a problem with Nate. Nate's definitely outspoken. I know you and Nate, you guys go way back. So
I want him to open up. He needs to show more of his personality. He's kind of like, well, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this.
I think we see Nate's work personality. And I want to see Nate after like 5 cocktails. That's the Nate I want to see. That's the Nate I want to see on mic. That's the Nate I want to see on camera. Right?
Yeah.
Work Nate is great, but work Nate is not what's going to get people. That's not what's going to get people excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me 5 cocktail Nate.
Yes. I think he I actually like, and like I said, I always joke about it, and people know me that if I don't talk to you, that means I really don't care. You're not my orbit.
Right.
But if I mess with you, that means I really like you, And I mess with him all the time. I'm like, hey, like stop driving in second gear and go for it, And he keeps on going in second gear and not make top 3.
What I think is that because you've seen so many drivers come and go, you immediately understand the untapped potential in a driver, and you will rag on them and shit on them to try and get that to come out.
Yes.
That's what I think it is. Like,
I
same
need
thing
them to
we talked about
relax.
Jonathan Hurst.
They need to relax.
Yeah.
They're so wound up. And that's why when they go to other series to have fun, they do actually drive really well, right?
Yeah.
Because they're relaxed. But when in a competition setting, they're all so tight, and they just need to relax and have fun. Because yes, winning does matter, but also having fun and building a fan base is another one. Like you said earlier, there's drivers out there that can't even qualify, but they're probably one of the most popular drivers out there, right? Mm-hmm. Like one guy that won a TV show on Netflix. Exactly. Highly popular.
Yeah.
But he can't qualify.
Getting better.
He's getting better.
He's getting better.
But he needs to learn how to speak English too. And that's another problem with a lot of these drivers. They refuse to speak English, even on their own social media. I've seen it many times. I actually gave Zhao some advice. I go, you have a huge following, but any of the English people that actually start following you, they don't understand a word that you're speaking. Mm-hmm. They really don't.
I can see it being really tough because like you don't want to give up your culture and your pre-existing fan base, but you have to do something different to expand into a new market. That's just what has to happen.
You are drifting in the United States. I hate to say it. All of us speak English.
Yeah.
You'll have anywhere from 15 to 20,000 people at every event. They all speak English. Mm-hmm. You need to market to that if you want to survive.
Yeah.
Your how do you say it? Your stubbornness is costing you a chance to make it.
Mhm.
Because I do think a lot of it's stubborn. They're pretty stubborn about it. They need to actually make an effort. Like Manoa, here's another instance. Manoa, I was making fun of him. Doesn't speak English, blah, 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 blah. He goes, yeah, I speak English, Andy. I'm like, oh, wow. I was blown away.
It's gotten so good so quick. But I mean, he's also a kid, so like it comes on a little quicker. But regardless, like,
But still, he made effort.
yeah. Yeah.
Where there's some people that to this day, I'm still trying to speak to them and they're like, lost. It's true. It's frustrating, but and that's why they disappear. They might be highly popular, but they disappear because they can't get the funding and they're asking U.S. companies for money, and they're not even trying to speak English, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like, how can a company run an ad with you talking about their product if it's in a language that they don't operate in?
Correct. And they need to learn, and if they don't learn pretty fast, and they're going to be gone in a couple of years because their own personal money is going to be gone.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got the personal to fund it, I mean, Daigo's a great example of that. Like, he just seemed like he's like, okay, I'll just put my own money in. I mean, he has sponsorship and stuff like that, but figured out the funding on it and didn't really care, didn't need to care. But to come over and then need American money to do it, and then to not speak English, like that's a really tough ask.
Yeah, it is. And it's frustrating because, again, you hear all the complaining. I mean, I hear it all the time when I get stopped by them like, hey, I'm down to my last couple of $1,000. Can you help find a sponsor? I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm just emailing people and stuff like that. I'm like, are you talking to them? Are you going by each, if they have a booth, are you talking to them, introducing yourself? No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy. That's the thing I hear all the time is that I'm too busy doing this or doing that.
Yeah.
Then why are you asking for money then?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the sport. It's just like any type of motorsport. You need money. You need money to run. This is actually the cheapest, I think, form of motorsports out there.
At a professional level, I would say it's pretty close. Maybe like demo derby, but even then, like I've seen the rigs and stuff.
24 hours of lemons.
But I mean, like top tier. If we talk about like the pinnacle of the sport,
yes,
I'm not aware of another top level sport that's as inexpensive. Even non motorsport.
Correct.
Like, right?
Yeah, correct. And it blows my mind. Like, and with Ryan and the Formula Drift, I feel like our tickets are undervalued. Because think about it, our average ticket pricing is $50, $60, and look how much content you get. Yeah. If you're a guy going to, say, Road Atlanta, and you're there at 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 a.m., and you pay $50 to be there the whole time and get content the whole day, when there are people paying how much for Taylor Swift concert tickets right now?
Tens, hundreds of thousands in some cases.
Correct. I mean, go to a baseball game. Me and you were to go to the baseball game, to a Dodger game.
Yeah.
For 2 hours, $150 a person.
Yeah. Just go see Toronto Maple Leafs. The cheapest ticket to go see the Leafs is $150 a person, and it is the last row next to a pillar. I know because I've sat in those seats and I bought those tickets. And it's, you're $300 just in seats. Then, popcorn's beers, $10 if you're lucky. Popcorn's $10. So yeah, it's a $500 night in the worst seats there.
And where Road Atlanta, you can put a whole bunch of tents and chairs and, have a good time.
Yeah. Barbecue. Yeah.
And go to New Jersey where there's seats, or go to Long Beach. You're still the cheapest ticket out there. Like, I don't see any NHRA, NASCAR ticket, IndyCar ticket that's cheaper than ours.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny too, because we provide the most free expansion within that, right? Like that you can pay for the track walk, the photo experience, stuff like that. But like our pits are wide open.
Correct.
If you go to Indy, like you want a pit pass, you go to F1, you want a pit pass, good luck. Like,
yeah, $100 bucks. I think Long Beach is $90 for a pit pass. And then you don't even get an autograph. You might not even get a photo. You're just walking around their paddock.
Yeah. Where
you go to ours, Jonathan Hurst will give you a hug.
Yeah. He may not even ask for it. He might just do it.
He'll just do it, and it's one of those experiences that when I invite people, they become fans really fast. Like I had a couple actors that were friends of mine. They play on The Mandalorian, and now they go to every single Formula Drift Long Beach or Irwindale. They're hooked because it's such a great motorsport to follow, and everybody's different. Everybody has a different personality. Everybody has a different style. It's cool.
It's, I mean, what's interesting about it too is it's such a sport that needs to be consumed with people around you. It's so difficult to go watch drifting or FD with like a single person in the similar way that like baseball and football are both very social sports because of the downtime. Yeah. So it's as much about being with somebody, discussing maybe what's going on track, but most of the time you're just talking shit. You're just talking about anything that comes up. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. Cars go by, and then you're like, that was crazy. And then you talk about that. And then, that's the biggest thing I tell people is like, if you're going to go with somebody who's really knowledgeable about the sport, and then go with a couple of people who aren't, because that's going to be the most fun, because they're going to have questions. You have one person there that can guide you through it. And then that is how you hook people. Just somebody at their beck and call that can explain it. Because it is still complicated. It is still difficult to understand it. And it's, something I would love to see more done. I had a call with Sage, kind of my post-year wrap-up thing. That was one of the biggest things. I was like, how can I make this attainable to my dad, who's a lifelong NASCAR fan, who, he'll watch the events, but he still doesn't quite understand it. And I'm like, how do we fix that? How do we make it so if somebody tunes in, they more or less can understand what's going on? You
have 3 idiots saying who wins the outcome of 2 runs. That's it. There you go. Yeah. Boom. And then if they can't decide, it goes one more time. And they love to go one more time. They love to go one more time. Which for you and your schedules is just absolute hell. I mean, I've had it with the judges to the point where I'm like, guys, just make a decision, because, we're about to hit, certain times that we're going to start getting fined for noise and stuff like that. You got to make a decision. And guess what happens? They call one more time. Just out of spite. Out of spite. You got Chris Yule now, who is just crushing through these events. He is so efficient. And now we got all this extra time on our hands. So I think it's great. I think the staff that we have going right now is wonderful. You got Trey, you got Sopa, you got Weber, and you got Max, and all the guys that have been with us for many years now. And we actually got a really nice staff. And then you've got Freddie and the production team. I give him a lot of crap all the time, but they make the event look really nice. It looks awesome. When you walk in, you're pretty impressed. Like, think about it. The idea that he had to make underneath the grandstand, the Hall of Fame type with all the cars of every winner. That's wonderful. I mean, was that a Freddie? I think that was a Freddie. It was awesome. He's somebody I need to have on the show, because he is probably the biggest unsung hero of the entire series. Like, most people have no idea who we're talking about. Yep. My first year, I had no idea what he actually did. He doesn't like you that much. He told me. He told you that we got into it. We're good. I think we're good now. I'm hoping we're good now. But yeah, I had no idea what he did. I had no idea. And then people still don't know what I felt terrible. People still don't know what I do. Yeah, people still don't. Like, James Dean said I was a track worker. And I was like, okay, I don't go on the track ever. Yeah. But I'm a track worker for you. Okay, whatever. And there's a lot of heroes in Formula D. Like, Cassie Tanaka is another one. Yeah. She has to deal with all the ticketing and all the BS, all the complaints, and there's a lot more that is just Ryan and Jim. Yeah. Or Jared. But Jared doesn't do much. He just and the winner goes to Forsberg gets the win. And then he'll tell you how many people he's married in Formula Drift. He married Forsberg or first time, and he married Bond. He married this person. I'm like, I know the whole history of everything, Jared. I've known you since day one, and I know everything. But I love the guy. Has a huge heart. He just gets crazy. He's every emotion is big for Jared.
That's the best way I can put it. Like,
but you know what? I'm Team Jacob.
There.
So, as you can see, I don't have any of Jared's stuff on.
Mm.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wear this for the rest of the show.
Bro, I'm going to hear about this. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is a moment. Does
that look okay?
It looks great. It fits you perfectly.
Yeah.
One size fits all.
So Jared, Team Jacob.
Look, I know you're going to be using all of your money on tires for your amazing drifting career just because you want to get on the show. I get it. Totally understand. I mean, hey, look, if I wasn't hosting the show, I'd be doing my best to try and get on the show because, as I've said before, I'm not an amazing driver. So I want to save you a bit of money. ShopFD.com. Use podcast24 at checkout. Just the numbers. Don't have to spell it all out. It's all good. We know. Hey, look, I saw a report card from grade 10. I know spelling it 24 is not going to be easy. So saved you the time. Podcast24 at checkout, shopfd.com. Grab yourself some merch. Save yourself some money. Someone's going to make like a Twilight poster of like the Team Edward versus Team Jacob. It'll be Team Jared, Team Jacob.
I think most people would choose you over him.
I've said this before. I'm just the new guy. Like I'm the new exciting toy. That's all it is. I'm the fucking Buzz Lightyear, right? Like that's like.
But you know what? I do think that you are very well informed and you know what you're talking about. And that's the most important in your role in what you do. You and Lorette are very important. And of course, Jared, of course. But, you had some big shoes to fill. You had Ryan Sage. You pretty much took over what Ryan was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, the guy that had the front row knowledge of the entire series, who's seen, essentially every run since day one.
Yep.
And announced almost every run day one from a technical aspect. And it's like, oh, here you go.
Oh, technically no, because the very beginning was all the G4 people.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, and then they had to voice over and post, right?
Yeah, with Jared.
Yeah. Right.
But
yeah.
I don't think Ryan did any of that stuff in the very beginning. I'm trying to think right now. It was all Jared.
Not sure. Interesting.
Jared by himself.
Yeah. That would be a interesting video clip to find. Just early Jared by himself.
But if you think about it, look at the progression of how everything is over the years. It went from, just a few of us to all these people from, I remember we had 21 or 22 cars at Road Atlanta the first year. Mm-hmm. And none of them had trailers. It was all open trailers. Every single car was an open trailer. So we had to actually get tents all along that one thing. And then everybody had a 20 by 20 tent, and that's it. Reese Millen was the only one. No, Reese Millen and the Dodge team were the only ones with the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mopar team.
That's it.
Back in the day. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know of the last time I saw an open trailer. I mean, guys have shown up, but they have a rig. There might be a couple guys in Prospect that have open trailered. I know I've seen it. I know I saw it in 2019. I saw a couple guys on open trailers, but that was in Prospect.
Yeah, I
but
can't
even
think
now,
of it. No,
I mean,
it's been pretty good. I mean, the guys have over the years of Prospect have matured a lot, Mm-hmm. But I do feel bad for a lot of them coming into, Road Atlanta, being their first event, and it is really intimidating coming down that hill into the kitty litter, and then you on top of that you have 18 to 20,000 people yelling at you, So that's a lot. It's pretty intimidating. Yeah,
my biggest advice for any of them is if you've never been to an FD event, at least try and crew for a team for a year, or a round at least. Just understand how this works. Just even little stuff where do you go pick up your tickets and your credentials? It's such a small thing, but if you're spending an hour running around just trying to figure out how to get your car in, that's an hour you're not doing something that could be progressing the program.
Yeah, I mean, here's another issue that we've had this year was all these people petition. They all expected a license this year because they petitioned, but it doesn't mean that we have space for all of them.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to write, since I'm the one that actually writes the email to them, hey, sorry, maybe next year. I always get why? Well, You didn't win the championship in your local area. You're not ready. You've only competed in 1 or 2 events. Sorry,
Yeah.
But a lot of them are not prepared. I mean, that's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of money commitment. I mean, I wish a lot of teams would think it over before they come.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of thought of, if I just make it there, everything will fall into place.
Well, this is what they think. They're going to come, they're going to win the event, and all these sponsors are going to line up on the door. Hey, that's what they think.
I can confirm that's not the case.
Yeah, but that's what they think. And that's what's the crazy part is that I'm the best in Iowa. I'm going to come to Formula D Prospect, and I'm going to dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they're so far behind because some of these Prospect guys has driven mostly every single one of these tracks where you have not even tried once to drive at that track.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wake-up call.
It's a big wake-up call, and a lot of them are not prepared, and I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
something we haven't even touched on is you even being here, how you got here, because it was a little tumultuous to begin with. I believe you actually at one point even told people not to come to the event, and the next thing you know, you've got a job there. So how did you get involved with FD in general?
Jim Lau, who at that time worked for Heim Per Nights, came to my car shop in Houston and was like, hey, can you help me support this car show coming to Houston? I'm like, you're Jim Lau. I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, get the fuck out of my shop, And, ever since then, we became good friends. He went to IDRC. Like for me, I like to, talk a lot of trash to them. And, wow, this is a long time ago. And then I think eBay happened. Totally destroyed the whole car shop culture type stuff because everybody could buy it online for a lot. No, the online happened. Online shops happened.
Okay.
Where instead, like I was the authorized dealer for a certain part or whatever, you had to come through me to buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Online happened, and you could buy it directly for them. So I was at that point where I was like, I'm over it. Jim and Ryan at the time were like, hey, or Jim goes, hey, we're doing the D1 thing. I think we're going to maybe go to do our own series. So I actually went with Jim to Japan for when he announced that they had D1 Irwindale. I was there for that. And then D1, of course, tried to screw over Jim and Ryan. Then they were like, hey, you want like a new type of career? I'm like, maybe. Because at that time I was doing car shows and stuff like that myself for my shop to promote my shop. Because I became from a drag racing car shop to more of a car show type car shop. Getting like headlights and taillights and stuff like that. So I packed up everything in the U-Haul and I moved to California. And I don't know if I beat Brian Olford or Brian Olford beat me, but one of us was there. We moved to, was it Irvine? And then that's when Formula D started, like with down in Irvine, and we had an office. And I've been there. I've been here ever since, and that's 21 years now, 22 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was Jim Lau coming to my shop saying, hey, can you help me promote for a car show that I was doing for Hyper Nights? Because I think Jim was hired back in the day. Drag racing was number one, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Back in the day. And Jim was hired to do a thing called night shift, which is drag racing and car show at night.
Okay.
So he wanted to do that, and I was all about it. And that's how I met Ron Bergenholz. Bergenholz. So I'm not sure if you know, he's one of my best friends.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I introduced his wife. She's from Houston to him, and their first son is named after me.
I had no idea. Actually.
You didn't know that, huh?
No, that's interesting.
So that's how I knew Steph, because I was into the import drag racing, and Jim and Sean Carlson and Sean Hillier and all those old guys. Like that's how we're really close knit with all these people. But yes, Ron Bergerholz's wife is because of me. She was an import model for my shop. And he goes, I need to marry her. I'm like, no problem. I'll give you her phone number. I set it all up. They went on a date. Next thing you know, he has 3 kids. And one of them is named Andrew. Yeah, after me.
Okay. Yeah, back in the model days.
Yeah, back in a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long
you
time.
used to be the recruiter for the models, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was the job description you had.
For who?
For FD. Weren't you the...
No.
No?
No, who told you this? Lies.
I mean, just something about model recruiting. That's all.
No, that was a guy named Richard Tran that used to do all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that guy named Richard Tran, he was one of the original guys that was with Formula Drift. He was an operations guy. He was actually the first guy to be race control.
Okay.
But he partied too much. He was not reliable, and he's no longer with Formula Drift. That was after 3 or 4 years. But yes, we used to make fun of him because he used to be the guy, when the import model would walk, there's a guy with the luggage case. That was Richard Tran. Yeah. So whoever told you that lie, that was me.
Maybe they're just trying to get your goat. That's all it was.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
That wasn't me.
Okay. All right. we'll set the record straight on that one.
My wife is going to ask me about this. Thanks.
I have met your wife. She is an incredible human being. She made me laugh one night at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard. And we were like, I think we were like getting up to, like everyone's getting the bills and stuff like that. And she just yells at everyone. She's like, shut the hell up. Andy's paying for this. And it was one of the funniest moments. That was so good.
It's wonderful
great.
Because actually I met her at a Formula Drift.
Okay.
So she was working at a Scion activation in Seattle for Urban Racer. And she's a pretty good looking woman. Came up to me asking for some bottled water and ice. No problem, And that night I told her boss that I was going to marry her. And, now we have a child and she's been with me for 14, 15 years. And, she's wonderful. She
doesn't put up with your shit, which I think is the key to the marriage.
I think the reason why I married her was because of her attitude, that New Jersey no nonsense attitude. Okay. And I was like, wow, she's awesome.
I need this in my life.
yeah. Where most girls would be like, I'll do whatever you want. She was like, no, you gotta do this. And I think for all the successes I've had and accomplishments I've had is because of her.
I'm in a very similar boat. I have a wife that's very supportive, but does not put up with any of my shit. And she grew up across from Detroit, Canada side of Detroit, but similar, no. Where that doesn't play. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's funny how this office used to be a party central, and now we're all have kids, and we're all like family oriented and stuff like that. It's so different than what it was when we were all single and going traveling. I remember the first 2 years of us with demos at Champ Car events. Jim and myself actually lived in a suitcase for like 8 weeks straight.
Jeez.
Yeah, because we're trying to promote drifting.
Yeah.
So we packed up one big semi and went around 6 cars and went around the country for 8 weeks, all over the country, and did drift demos all everywhere. And we would fly in on Wednesday, and we did demos all the way till Sunday. Flew back Monday. Tuesday was our day to like wash clothes, and then Wednesday we're back on the plane. So
it's so much grit that like got this off the ground. And I think that's what people forget, because like, you can look at it now and be like, oh yeah, but it's like it's everything that went into it before, the groundwork really to make this happen that people really do forget about.
A lot of people like the teams and like that also forget that it's actually really hard to throw in a big event.
Yeah.
You got to work with the city. You got to work with the venue. You got to work with the security firm. You got to work with insurance companies, and these days it's like I'm always concerned about terrorism. And what's crazy is that my job and the job of everybody in this office is to make sure that we have a great and safe event. That's why when you come to a Formula Drift event, you do see bag checks.
Yeah.
You do see all this stuff, it's because we want to make sure that everybody has a good time, but it's also safe. You'd be surprised how many people bring guns to events. Very surprised.
I've done enough. I think for most people listening, they'd be shocked. I've been in the event space enough that it's shocking what people try to bring into events.
Yeah, I think one year somebody brought a turtle or a goldfish and tried to get in as an emotional support animal.
I mean, we've gotten lax. We've got a duck that's there all the time. I mean, the exotic pets are expanding.
Yeah, I think that's going to end soon. We're going to cook that duck and eat it. It's going to be awesome. Roast duck.
Speaking
Formula duck. There's going to be a roast duck.
Formula duck.
Yeah,
the event world is crazy. Most people have no idea what it takes to even throw a successful event.
You know what's crazy is that I went to so many soccer games, football games, basketball games. I went to every event that I could go to so I could learn everything. And that's why I give a lot of credit to the Long Beach Grand Prix. I talk about them a lot because those people actually took us under their arm and go, hey, follow us, learn everything from us. Learn how to do an event that's over 100,000 people. Every year I go to their minute by minute, meetings. And I'm always part of their stuff because I want to learn and try to make our events as big and as great as theirs. And
would that be like Dwight Tanaka and like
Dwight Tanaka is to me is a father figure / a mentor. I would have to say that he contributed a lot of the way I am and how I do things in this space for events. Another person that is very important to me was Bob Klein. He was the old Irwindale general manager. And is that me or you? Anyways,
it's not me.
Bob Klein was another one I was another guy that was, that taught me a lot of stuff when I was younger. But Dwight 100% is a big factor in how I do things. And he is actually one of those guys that taught me you treat people how you would want to be treated, especially in the event space, because you never know. Say I quit tomorrow and I work for somewhere else, we're going to bump into each other in this space.
Yeah. It's such a small world.
Yeah. And people don't understand that part, And I think next year is his 50th anniversary of the Long Beach Grand Prix. So
that'll be big.
It should be pretty big. And I'm excited to see him. I see him all the time and, I listen to every single piece of advice he's ever given me.
It's I think the idea of having somebody as a mentor is very it's not utilized enough. Like just having somebody who knows more than you do, that's done all the stuff that you wish you could be doing, just to talk to. And a lot of the times, the advice that you get from them is not like, sit down, I'm going to teach you something. It'll be like one little thing they say to you, and you're like, why haven't I been doing this? Like, this is something you just inherently know. Why haven't I been doing this?
Well, one thing that I've been doing a lot lately I've been doing a lot of stuff with this one group called API, and I want to actually do more with them. It's Asian business professionals in sports.
Okay.
And then another one was I was helping with San Francisco University, their master's program, in doing events. So I hosted a bunch of their master's program people that want to get into this space and teach them what's going on. Another one that I'm very passionate about is Accelerate, which brings underprivileged kids to the Formula Drift events. And I want to be able to inspire them that, hey, you might not need to be a racer. You don't need to be a drifter. You don't even have to be the mechanic. There's people in all parts of Formula D that needs to be, that you can help out with. You should start learning to be the next Kevin Wells or the next Jared Deanda I don't know how awesome that is, but you know, but I'm 49 years old. Will I go another 30 years? I don't think so. So there has to be another Andy Luck later, because I'm not going to outlive Formula Drift. Our Formula Drift is going to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I think it's very important that we teach the younger people that that want to work with us to be us, right?
Yeah.
But you need to teach them, because if you don't teach these people, they just don't know, and then you'll never find a replacement for yourself.
I guess that leads to a really big question, which is why do you keep doing it? Because you don't need to. I won't get into all of it, but like, you have a very successful career outside of FD. This is an incredibly difficult job. It is high stress. You do deal with a lot of bullshit on a pretty regular basis. So why 20 years later are you still doing it? Why are you still showing up?
Because I love the people I work with, and I love the sport. I might not get along with every single driver out there or the people I work with, but they're all still my family in a way.
Yeah.
You know, think about this. How many people can you look back that have been working with you for over 20 years? Are they almost like family to you? If you do have any? Think about all the hundreds of people that I've known, or thousands of people I've known over the years. The Ken Gushis of the world, who I love his whole family. I love him. When I first moved to LA from Texas, Ken Gushi's family actually invited me to all the holidays to spend with them, because they knew that I was all alone here. That shows you what kind of people that they are. And I will never forget that. Or I will never forget about some other people that has helped me on the way, because, you know, I've known them for so long and they have supported me in every single way. I could give you a story about a guy named John Morris out of Long Beach. He used to own a restaurant called Smooths. We used to do all our meetings there. We used to do everything there. One night I was walking home from the event, because I lived in downtown, and he goes, I was so hungry, but the wait was like 3 hours long or 2 hours for a table. He grabs me. He goes, Andy, what do you want to eat? Just sit with me over here at the table. I'll feed you whatever. And he didn't even charge me. He just wanted to make sure that I was okay. I have never forgotten that, you know? And think about all the people that I work with, Cassidy, that I've worked for a long time, Brian Olfert, Ryan Sage, Jim Lau, even Jared Deanda. You know, Jared's like the stepbrother.
Yeah.
I hate him, but I love him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, so
Yeah.
I mean, I support that guy. I know how hard of a job that he does, you know, and I'm always worried about if he can handle the people talking trash about him and stuff like that, because I do worry about that stuff, you know, where you know, Ryan is tough as nails and he's a great leader. And I'm actually really excited for the next 5 years. We just had this talk today. Like, I'm happier now than I've ever been at Formula Drift, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, my friendship with Jim is still the same. I love the guy. He's one of the first guys to, you know, he was actually he still is one of my great friends. You know, I used to stay at his house back in the day when I was visiting California. And, you know, and there's Kevin Wells. I've known from day one. Actually, I met Kevin Wells and we actually had a fight at IDRC San Antonio in maybe 1999, 98.
Okay.
We got to fight at a strip club, so we won't get into that, but we got to fight at a strip club.
There it is.
Kevin will back me up on that one. You know, and then we got Freddie, got Tio. Tio's the newer guy, younger guy of the group. You know, and then think about all the people I've worked with on all the tracks. I've outlasted almost everybody from Road Atlanta. Think about it.
I never thought of that. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Evergreen Speedway. How many people I've known every single person. Not many people have been there since day one.
Yeah.
You know, and Long Beach, of course, Dwight's been there for so long, you know, but I know all these people have become family of mine because I bump into them. I see them all the time. We would do anything for each other, you know, and of course, Irwindale, which I'm still heartbroken over, you know, but
yeah,
you know, people always, what makes me angry is when people always are laughing about it. You know, you're like, oh, is it going to close again? Oh, it's just BS, blah, blah, blah. You never want any track to close.
Yeah.
You know, especially the place where I think US drifting started. It started there.
Yeah.
You know, with the RSR Drift Festival, and then they had the D1 driver search there, and then the first D1 there, and then the first Formula Drift there? No. That was Long Beach.
First one was
no, it was Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it's to say what I want to say is that I love the sport of drifting, and I can't see myself without it, is the best way to say it. Because the people are really wonderful. Mostly everybody's wonderful in Formula Drift.
I mean, those that aren't usually end up leaving or getting pushed out. So
yeah, and there's a couple of fans that are unruly. You know, I think I flicked off one guy one year because he was being racist, and then, you know, I had a couple complaints about me yelling at somebody. But other than that, I mean, it's been a pretty long 20 years, but it's been great. It's great to see people excel and exceed expectations.
yeah.
I had more. There was a couple of things that I could think of that I was more like so happy about. Like one of the most memorable things that I've ever experienced was Ken Gushi winning at Irwindale.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one because it's Ken Gushi, original driver, winning at the finals at Irwindale, his home track.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was Sorensen, Amanda winning, first female ever to win anything, podium.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a big one. I was very proud of that moment that I was there to witness that part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, James winning, you know, I told James, actually, when James hurt his shoulder when he broke his shoulder, I actually told him not to do it. And he was like, I'm going to do it. And I was like, I'm saying no, you know, and he convinced me otherwise, and he went.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was that whole thing was crazy. That was just absurd, that whole weekend.
Yeah, and there's other things that I'm so caught up in things, you know, like when Ben Hobson crashed really bad and I was in the back of the ambulance with him, making sure he was okay. You know, there's other things that's happened that I thought was like, oh wow, like I'm glad I'm here to make sure that he's going to be okay. And that's why I always worry about with a lot of the drivers. They hit pretty hard. It's harder than what it looks like, especially in Long Beach. Like Ryan, like I watch that all the time. And I'm like, that was a hard hit. You know, and then James catching on fire this year. And we were talking about that today. It's a lot of crazy stuff, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and it's only gonna get crazier as these cars are progressing. You know, so
yeah, I
think that's why I'm still here, is because I love the sport of drifting and the people in it.
Yeah, I agree. As much as, you know, you got a name, it all comes from the care of it, where your attitude towards people who do dumb shit is a protection mechanism for the series and the sport and other stuff. I mean, there's been conversations you and I've had as well about things that even I've done where you're like, hey, you need to think further than just what's going on right now and understand the sport as a whole or the series as a whole and your role in it. And that's, you know, for me, those were moments where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think past one step. I didn't go past this one thing.
Well, you, Jared, and Lorette, and a little bit of Ryan is the face of Formula Drift. If you think about it.
Which is crazy.
But you are.
For me, it's still crazy. Yeah.
because you're the face that you're the one talking, and you're the one guiding the people through this experience, right? You're educating people. You're telling them what's going on. You guys are both of you guys are the face of Formula Drift with Lorette.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said, I always thought that you three are really good together when you guys are all vibing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the show go and makes it enjoyable. It's when, when somebody's by themselves, it's very hard to just listen to that voice over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I think that's where you and Ryan helped out Jared, because I remember those old days where Jared talking for 12 hours straight and he's already lost his voice. And, it's very hard because me and you can't talk about ourselves or talk about anything by yourself for a long period of time, but he can.
Yeah. Oh, it'll just go. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good thing and bad thing. Like, his voice every once in a while would trigger me a little bit, and I'll be like, oh man, but overall it's one of the hard, you guys have a hard job.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to sit and I feel in such a weird spot with it because like, I don't ever want to be like, oh, it's super difficult and oh my God, but it's like, it's not easy. And I thought even going into this year, it was like, okay, how hard can it be? Like I did 2 rounds last year. I'll just do 8 this year. And like, it was tough. It's so difficult to keep it all up there and being able to grab at it.
It's 100% mentally.
I'm beat at the end. Like I'm not physically doing shit all weekend. Like you've seen me. I'm watching drifting all day, every day, just watching basically every run that I can. But I'll get home on the Sunday and I'm a shell of my former self. My wife knows now. She's like, okay, like I'll come home, I'll see the kids. And I'm like, I just need to lay down for 2-3 hours, 2 days, whatever I can get. And then it's like, okay, now I'm back to normal because it's mentally exhausting to try and be on and not fumble and recall information.
The hardest part of the whole thing is that what blows my mind is the amount of hate. The social media thing and just say that a judge makes a call and they don't like it.
Yeah.
And they're just going crazy on everybody. Like I've seen it to where fans were going after fans of one guy going after fans of other people.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it's gone. And I remember one of them was the worst, where I was actually physically worried about one of the drivers. It was the Forrest Wang and Chris Forsberg at wall speed.
I know exactly the call. Yeah.
I remember telling the state troopers that, hey, we might have a situation. I want to protect him. I want to send at least 3 or 4 guys over there to watch Chris Forsberg because his fans were crazy. Forrest Wang's people thought they were screwed and it was crazy. And people were, I remember one year, I had to send state troopers to the Seattle event up to the judging tower to escort them down because people were throwing things at them.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year that was. Was that might even be before Eggert.
Okay.
It might be. That's how far back it was.
Yeah. Part of me is happy that people are passionate about it. It's just how they're utilizing that passion that frustrates me sometimes. Like I'm stoked that people want to argue and debate calls. That I'm fine with. Like that's necessary. We should do that. But it's when it turns into these like personal attacks where I'm like, guys, like these judges are at work. These drivers are at work. This is their job. Like, I don't come to McDonald's and make fun of you for the way you make chicken nuggets. Like, can you please just calm down a little bit?
But they don't. They keep on going and they're doubling down. It's just, it's crazy. But you know what? They're passionate about the sport. That's like how me and you are passionate about the sport. And you get a couple bad apples, but other than that, there's some great people in this series, and I really want people to come out to more events to see it in person because it is a lot different than it is online. Mm-hmm. You get the smells, you get the everything, you get the feels, and you get the energy of the crowd. that's one thing that I have to give Jared a lot of credit for. He gets the crowd pumped up, especially, man, they get crazy, which is great.
Yeah.
Especially in Seattle, they're stomping the grandstand. And every year, I'm like, oh my God, the whole thing's going to come down.
This is it.
You know, and then they do.
I hit him in Orlando because he went to do it in Orlando. I'm like, not here. No, please, no.
The whole thing's just collapsed. Let me see, like when he does a wave in Long Beach. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so with all our grandstands.
Yeah. The lights in Irwindale, the cell phone lights in Irwindale is like some of my favorite photos of drifting, period. Or, you know, guys shooting from the infield and you just get the crowd lit up and it's, dude, I get goosebumps.
So I want to ask you a question.
Oh God. Okay.
Where's round 8 going to be at?
See, I think I know, so I don't want to like spoil it.
But do you?
I fairly certain I know. I don't want to be the guy who spoils it. That's the problem.
So at SEMA, people keep on asking me, where's it going to be? Where's it going to be? So I threw out this one. I threw out Anaheim Stadium just to see what people would say.
I would love to see that. I would love to see it.
You think so?
I don't know if that's it, but I think we have an opportunity to do something crazy and we need to do something with it. That's where my head's at. We have the hype in Southern California. We've proven that time and time again. We sell out constantly. Mm-hmm. We sell out early. The fans are there. The people will pilgrimage to go see it. So if there's a time to take a risk and do something big, to do something expensive, I don't want FD to lose their shirt on it, but I'm also cool if we lose a bit of money on it and we do something crazy.
So I started telling people to call Anaheim Stadium to say that we're on their way there. So.
That's a great idea. That's a good way to get in. I'm fairly certain I know what it is. Well, maybe once we're done recording, I'll confirm. But I'm not going
to tell you. Sorry, you got to tell Ryan Sage.
He may or may not have confirmed most of it for me. So, anyways, I had my year-end call. Come on.
Oh my gosh, no! But it's funny hearing all the gossip of what's going on for next year. It's so crazy. Like, I think it's going to be a great year next year. I don't want to see a 5-time champion. I want to see a first-time champion.
I agree. Nothing against James Dean, but I want to see somebody come up. I would love to see somebody come out of nowhere where you're like
Jeff Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody where you're like, oh, they haven't even been in championship contention. And it's like, here you go. This guy wins it. That'd be killer.
Can you imagine the party if Jeff Jones wins the whole thing?
Oh, I would submit to that party. I'm not a partier, but I would be.
I'm not either. I would go to that party just to see what happens. You know?
He throws good parties. Have you ever been to like his SEMA parties? That dude knows how to get down.
I went to last year's. I didn't go to this year's. Yeah, but I don't want to hang out with any drivers.
No.
You know why? They'll ask me like for hookups for like sponsorship stuff. And I like I remember one year I got so much trash. I think it was because of Forsberg and Hancock. I guess I went to dinner with Forsberg, and the next day he got Hancock. And then it was kind of said that it was me that hooked it up, and I didn't even do nothing. I just passed on the phone number.
Yeah.
And I got so much shit for it, and I wasn't worth it, you know. So I was like, if I don't have to hang out with drivers, I won't. You know, there's even people in the series that are close friends of mine. I go, when we go out, I don't want any photos of us together. We're just going to enjoy ourselves. And when you leave, then we can hang out, and you can post all the videos you want. I just want. That's the one thing that really pisses me off back in the day is that everybody thought that we had a crystal ball or we were writing the script about who was going to win, and that was so stupid. I really got upset with a lot of that stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
you know, and they were always thinking that Jim and Ryan had some grand plan that they were going to let Forsberg win because NOS was our sponsor, or you know, this was a sponsor, so they automatically get the win and stuff like that. That's all BS. No. If not, Mike Power might actually should be the champion because of Type S, right?
There you go. Exactly.
But
I've had drivers come up to me and say like, oh, like I wish you would talk about me more. And I'm like, hey, listen, when was the last time you came to talk to me? When was the last
Correct.
time you told me anything about you? Like, not that I talk about drivers more, but if I have more to talk about, then it's easy for me to talk about you. So,
Well, the
give me
problem
shit
is,
to talk about.
again, is effort.
Yeah.
It's not like you're hard to get a hold of.
I'm super easy to spot.
Correct. I mean, they might come look for me now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But think about it. If they came up to you and go, "Hey, I'm doing a new project. Can you talk about my new project, or can I talk about this, or talk about this?" Or even with Jared, I mean, they don't take the time to actually go, "Hey, Jared, my sponsor changed. Can you please say my card the right name of it?" And
Some do. Some are good. Like, we'll get DMs or group chats with drivers or Instagram messages and stuff like that. I want to make a push next year to find a better way for that communication, and open that up. I don't know what that is yet. Maybe it's like within the Discord channel or something where I can go, "Hey, if you need us to know something, here's the channel. You put it in there. I will keep that open during the event, just so that way I can keep on top of things." That might be the answer. I'm not sure. But even with the show, man, I mean, I think it's crazy that I don't have drivers knocking down my door being like, "Hey, I want to get on the show to discuss this thing." I would say 80% of the drivers have been phenomenal, but there are drivers that it's taken me 6 months to try and book in. And I'm like, I don't need to do this with you. Like, I'm doing this for you, and it's costing you nothing. You get the microphone.
all you
it's
do is
2
get to
hours.
talk about yourself for 2
Yeah,
hours, and how hard
that's
is
it.
that to do? They can't even
Exactly.
do that. Like,
So
again, effort. Like,
Yeah.
they don't take the effort to do it. Like, if I were a prospect guy right now, and you had an opening, I would be hitting you up every single time to get to know who you are, how I am, so you can help me make more money. How hard is that?
That's why Nate Chen was one of the first prospect guys to get on. I'm serious. He was one of the first drivers to like hit me up and be like, "When can I get on? How does this work?" And I was like, "Thank you for making my life easier. I will make your life easier."
I think Nate Chen, like, again, just needs to show people how his real personality is.
Next
And
podcast, 5
not
drinks. Before we even start, I'll sit here
Not
and
be
watch
so
him hit 5.
serious, because I think his driving is almost there.
It's
almost
really
there.
close. Yeah, it's really close.
I think he dropped off the last event. If he won that event, he would have been pro, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
He's close. His program is close. His marketing of his stuff is close.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got him being part of Jerry Yang Racing, who I adore. I think Jerry's doing a great job too of building a program to start making some serious money. He's got great drivers. I mean, having probably the youngest and most talented drivers in a long time come around is pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Kazuya and Manoa. And I mean, even if you want to go back to like Nick Novak had a perfect event on his program, and you've got Nate coming through there. Even back in the day, I mean, Robbie to some degree, but yeah.
Let's not talk about the old Robbie driving parts. He sucked. He sucked as his driver. Like, I love Robbie to death, but he peaked at his first event.
He peaked too soon.
He
peaked in high school.
I want you to cut that part and send it to him. Is that Andy said this about you? You peaked at your first Formula Drift event. That was it.
I need Kyle to clip this and Tio to make the video of just whatever his first drift event is, and Andy saying it in that run to go by. That's it.
Yeah,
Please clip this.
Like, we used to make fun of certain people. Like, Dean Kearney's usually good for one good event, and the whole year he sucked. This year he just sucked because he never showed up. Vaughn's good for Atlanta and Irwindale.
Yeah, that's why he always runs those. Yeah.
Who else did we used to say? Oh, there's so much old stuff. I have to remember names. Odie was always good at the beginning. Couldn't last the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But I think he changed that this year.
He was pretty consistent. It was more just
middle.
like...
It was the middle of the events that he didn't do so well, right?
Yeah, and he had some bad luck with engines, and I think that was probably the biggest thing. If his engines stayed together, that was his championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see who else. Donofa is a 2-time XDC champion who didn't do anything until he went to RTR.
Yeah.
Because he sucked at Bergenholz. He sucked doing his own program.
I forgot he was with Bergenholz. Oh, geez.
Yeah. Guess who I bumped into not too long ago? June Meng.
I've been trying to get June on the show. Did he tell you that?
No.
I have a full document. I'm ready to go. He's got a mic and everything.
I have a story about him, but we'll let him talk about it. But I made his ex-wife cry.
You did tell me this one. I have it in my notes.
Do you have this one?
You told me that. So listen, when you guys are telling me stories and I'm sitting there on my phone, I'm taking notes of I have a file for every driver I want to have on. I just open up the notepad and I start going through and just putting notes in of what people have told me.
Yeah, that one's
Works
really
great.
bad. I felt bad. My wife felt bad. She was like trying to eat while this girl's just crying. And I was right.
Yes.
I was right. Oh, man, but I felt bad because he's a godly man and he prays and all this stuff. And
I know I got to get Calvin Wong on. You pushed me on that one. So
Calvin Wong's a good guy because the first import to win, right? I think so. First import to win, the G35, built by Gary Castillo, which I think would be another good person to bring on.
Yeah.
He built the RSR cars back in the day. He built the Saturn Sky.
Because there was the Pontiac Solstice and the Saturn Sky.
So the Sears, he built that. He built the RSR S2000. I think he built the Scion, the rear-wheel drive Scion, the one that Tony owns. RSR built that.
Interesting. I was thinking of the one that I think Freddie drove it for a bit.
Nope, that's not it.
That was a different one. Okay.
The first TC was RSR.
Okay.
And it was built by Gary Castillo. I remember Tony had to deal with a lot of the technical issues for that to make it legal. Or they had to jump through a lot of hoops to make it legal.
Yeah. Because there was a thing where if there was an all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive variant somewhere in the world, you could run it. Because that's how like the Corolla IM got through. Is there was like an all-wheel drive variant in like China or something.
Yes.
And then now I don't think it matters.
I don't think anything matters anymore. Now it's just supercars. I'm waiting for the tube chassis cars, but I don't think that will ever happen.
I would still like for there to be a version of FD where you have full tube chassis, as extreme as you want to go. That's what you do. Then we have a version that's like a stock car, right? Where it's supposed to be like, stock chassis of some kind. And then a spec class. I think for me, that's the ultimate. Let's go, full steroids. Let's go natural. And then let's go, a spec series. That's how I see it.
I can see it from Kevin's thing. It won't be fair because whoever has the most money is going to win.
That's F1, that's NASCAR, that's all the series. And that's why guys will drive in a stock series is because they're like, okay, it's not as much of a money battle.
But that's so fun because I want to see the Jeff Jones win a championship.
It can still happen. It just doesn't happen as often. But you could see that in a different series.
I'm trying to think of who from a lower team has won. Well, Nick Novak won the.
But he was with Jerry Yang at the time.
But that's not considered a really big team.
Yeah, fair. Drivers that have won that didn't come from a big team. I mean, it definitely happens.
I'm trying to think of who.
Dylan Hughes, Orlando. That's a good example.
Travis Reeder.
Yeah.
I think Rome actually should have won New Jersey that year over Reeder.
Yeah.
But he's close. I'm trying to think of who else. There's Manoa. Yeah,
but it's still Jerry Yang.
But is that really that?
I'm thinking like built in my own garage, my own 2-car garage, like that kind of thing. When I think of like a scrappy team, that's what my head goes to.
Jeff Jones.
Yeah, he's got to win an event though. He's podiumed. He's got to win an event.
He will. I think
it's where he's due.
I think he's due to win and also be top 3.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know why. I don't know what happened this year. I still have to ask him why. Like what happened from Seattle on?
I'll get him back in the show. Jeff, you're listening. Let's have a psychological breakdown.
What else do you have on your hit list, man? I know Ryan was saying you had some surprising ones, unless you threw them out at me already.
A couple. Why is the MR2 your favorite car?
Oh, wow. I've always liked that mid-engine. I always liked that mid-engine the car.
Yeah.
And I liked rear-wheel drive, and it was always fun to drive. Because and back in the day when I first got it, I got a lot of girls from it because they thought it was like a little mini Ferrari.
There it is. There's the real reason right there. After hours activities in Houston with Jim and Ryan. You don't have to. You can pass if you need to pass. You can pass. Does that? Okay, go ahead.
Jim Lau story. We went to my friend's club. They allowed Jim Lau to go behind the bar. Jim Lau, drunk out of his mind, thought he was Tom Cruise in Cocktails. Started flipping the bottles and shit. Broke everything. And then also back in the day, we used to have after parties after the event. We had one in Houston with all our drivers, and it was an Asian night. Vaughn and Tony and all of them got in a fight with all these Asian gangsters. Between them two, they killed like 20 people. Like, I never saw so many Asian, like short little Asian guys running up to Tony and drop. And then Vaughn would do like this. Another one drop. I saw like 20 bodies drop, and it was all just because of two guys. I've never seen an unfair fight like that before because these two white guys were just dropping all these guys. But that was Houston. Houston was like Wild Wild West. I remember like at that time we were still SCCA. So we had Chief Stewart.
Yeah.
And the fire alarm kept on getting pulled at our official hotel that when we saw him downstairs, he was like, fuck all you guys. I'm going straight to the airport. And he's in his robe and stuff like that. He got dressed and he went straight to the airport. He goes, fuck all you guys. I'm never coming back here again. Because everybody kept on pulling the fire alarm.
As a fireman's son, I shouldn't be laughing at that, but that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but I remember that. And then one of our guys remember I brought up a Richard before. Mm-hmm. After the event, he thought he was hot shit. So he's driving through all these boxes with our rental car. And back in the day, for your easy ups, they used to use the concrete blocks, the little small ones that you buy at Home Depot. So he ran over like 4 of them and blew up the transmission, popped the tire and everything.
Yeah, FD rental cars don't necessarily do too well. I know we lost one this year too.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
We won't talk about that one.
And then the same guy took our rental van and drifted Wall Speedway in the van and blew out all 4 tires. Yeah, so yeah, from that time on, I think one time we had just got to Wall Speedway or got out of the airport. Jim and I were in the van, and then Ryan and Brian were behind us. And somehow I think we got rear-ended right outside we got rear-ended by Ryan right outside the rental car facility. And don't ever go on a long car ride with Ryan Sage. So we used to drive to Sonoma, right?
Right.
That guy used to listen to all the crazy stuff from NPR. So he was listening to like ghost stories and people getting possessed and UFOs. And I listened to that stuff for 6 hours. And I was like, oh my God, kill me now. You know, they used to get all the weird people on that thing talking about getting possessed and stuff like that. That was
I'm trying to think of the show.
Into.
There's like a particular show that people used to call into. Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
But that was,
I know exactly,
was it Night to Night or something like that? Or something like that.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, that's going to bug me.
Yeah, so
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, don't ever get, if I were any FD person, I would not get in the car with Ryan Sage and Brian Olford together.
Okay.
Horrible.
Good to
Horrible. Know. Yeah.
I think I've only got two left. Two left. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't have, these are like notes I was just told to ask about. I actually have no research. A lot of the times I'll ask a question, I kind of already know what the result is, and that's why I ask. These two, I have nothing. Okay. So first one is, all that was sent to me was special tea.
I don't know
tea,
what that means.
like the drink. Okay. Special tea. That's all I got.
I don't know what that is.
All right.
I really don't. I'm trying to think.
if you think about it, the last one was Project X.
Project X.
It says with Jim and Ryan, and Jim and Ryan.
Project Live.
Project Live.
So
Okay.
Jim and Ryan had this huge project they wanted to do to go against Han Per Nights. It was called Project Live. So I borrowed money from my parents to fund this Project Live.
Okay.
I got sponsored by Ditto. Ditto was our first sponsor. And it did okay. It only brought like 3,000 or 4,000 people, but we end up losing like 30 or 40,000 bucks from that event. But that was our first event ever with me, Jim, and Ryan.
That's amazing.
Oh wow, that's 2001.
Yeah, might even be 2000.
Special T. I don't know what Special T means.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
I can't reveal my sources. All
Yeah.
right. Well, if you think about it, you let me know. But
I will.
I'm glad I stumped you on one of them. But yeah, we got through. It was a good list. We got through quite a lot, man. But I will say I very much appreciate you doing this. I talked about it all year. For anybody listening, this is the season finale. Normally, I send these to Ryan to review the night before, but I have to turn this around really quickly, which happens to mean that it'll probably just get posted before he gets to review it. I am slightly concerned about getting phone calls and text messages from people mentioned in this about this episode, but I'll deal with that later.
Well, it's going to be a couple people that I can think of that we mentioned about crazy young stuff that we did when we were stupid, but
allegedly. If we say allegedly all of this happened, I think we're covered.
100% happened. If I had that VHS tape, I would have you play it right now. If I had that VHS tape, like not 100% was true. Like I can tell you right now, all of it's true. Like
Okay.
we could go even crazier and talk about Bangkok and Thailand, and we could talk about all this other stuff too. But we haven't.
Got notes on. I mean, I think that's all in the Tony Angelo interview. So yeah. See, I know. Anyways. Thank you. For me in particular, thank you for your help and support over this year. Thank you for busting my balls when I needed it. But also thank you for some awesome conversations and just hangouts and shooting the shit. It's been a lot of fun. And, in a weird way, I felt like you kind of took me under your wing and you're like, all right, I don't want this one to get fucked up. So I'm going to make sure he's okay. And it was noticed and appreciated. And, it's been an incredible year.
I knew that. I knew that you were coming in and you knew a lot of stuff, but I don't think you knew everything behind the scenes like we usually do,
Yeah.
And I thought it was very important because again, like I said, you, Lorette, and Jared are very much the face of Formula Drift, more than what you think it is, Yeah. And like I said, I wanted to welcome you, just like Lorette and Jared, and make sure that you guys are comfortable. And like I said, you guys are the heartbeat of what we do, So I appreciate all the stuff that you do, and Jared and Lorette, because I want to make sure that all three of you are lumped together.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to play favoritism, even though I'm wearing this, right?
Yeah, but we all know Lorette's your favorite, so it's fine. But again, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I do appreciate you giving me the time to do this, because I do enjoy this, because I have all these stories. It's just half the stories you're not allowed to tell, because we did it so long ago, and you kind of don't want some of this stuff out there, but they're funny stories.
They're great. There's stories that we didn't touch on that you've told me that I don't think we can ever repeat, but we definitely got close on a few of these.
So, like here's another story real fast. Like,
okay,
when we did this stupid parade around Long Beach and we told drivers not to leave any marks on the track, goes and hits the cop doing a donut in the middle of the track, and then guys left marks, and me and Kevin Wells and the city of Long Beach Grand Prix and the police stayed up till 2 a.m. pressure washing all of it off before the mayor found out.
Before the mayor found out.
Because he would ask that thing if, because it's like street takeover.
Yeah.
Were you not part of the parade at all last year?
I have been, the last 2 years. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, think about what we're going to do this year, but when we have all 40 cars on the street somehow.
Okay.
Oh, think about it.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah. So we want to do something cool. I think we're going to do something cool for Long Beach, I think, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm going to try and fly in early. I like spending the whole week there. It was great.
Yeah. But thank you again. I do appreciate it. Like I said, for all you guys, come and say hi. I'm not that much of an angry person. I'm an angry elf every once in a while, but other than that,
don't do anything stupid. Just don't do anything stupid. That's it. Just don't be an idiot.
Yeah, because I'm the one that I have to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather just sit there and watch and enjoy the event just like anybody else, right?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It's been a phenomenal year, and I'm very much looking forward to next year already, especially with all the big announcements and stuff that, we'll talk about after. But for anybody, do you want me to put your socials up? You post some funny shit. You in a dress was like top tier for me. That killed me.
For Halloween, I dressed up as a princess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah,
okay.
my social.
I'll drop those down.
Yep. Thanks.
No problem. For everybody listening, very much appreciate it. I'm going to wrap it up with Andy, and then I got a fun little message to wrap the show up with. But thanks again, Andy. Thank you again, everybody, for listening and watching, and catch everybody soon. Hey, everybody. So as mentioned and as promised, this is the last episode of the year. Super pumped on how the whole season went. Very different. Obviously, my life was crazy with the move and everything else that was going on, but we got through it. We really only had like one episode that we missed, which is super, super important to me. But we managed to fill it in with a kind of a throwback episode. So still happy with that. As of right now, everything is still a go for next year. So we're already planning season 3, which is crazy. There may be a couple episodes between now and the official launch of season 3. More than likely end up doing the Rumor Mill podcast again with Kyle. That one's at PRI. So if you're at PRI, you might be able to catch that in the podcast booth. There's 1 or 2 things we're still working out with a couple of drivers that want to talk about some things. So it might happen, might not. I'm not entirely sure yet. But I want to take a moment to thank Kyle and Jay, kind of the people behind the scenes on this. Kyle on the editing, Jay on the audio. Massive, massive thank you for all the effort you guys put in to make this show, especially this episode, because we have to turn this around tonight. So, and then thank you to all the fans. It's crazy and very overwhelming, the support that I got this year and being up in the booth and everything else. And I just, I'm really grateful for getting to do this and the support you guys have given me. There are still hats for sale. They are on FD or 144 if you want to go take a look at those. Not sure what we're doing with them for next year, changing the color up, any of that stuff. Not entirely sure. If you have made it this far, if you could drop down in the socials, take a look. Follow me on Instagram, check out the YouTube channel. The season's dying down for me. I do have to catch up on a lot of editing and videos and things. So I'm going to try and produce more, and got a lot of nut stuff already in the works for next year. So but I just wanted to say thank you so much for making season 2 such a massive success, and really looking forward to season 3. So hopefully you can hang tight over the next little bit. We're hoping to get them launched. I want to say the beginning of February. I definitely need a bit of a break. It's going to be about 2 months off, which 10 months straight of podcasting is it's not easy on top of everything else that's going on. So I would expect February, and if it comes in sooner, then that's a bonus. If you do want to check out my old show, it's still on Spotify, the Piston Head Podcast. You can take a look at that. It's also kind of cool to check out some old episodes. Other than that, like I said, thank you so much. And we'll catch everybody next year.